Hey, Tom.
Good evening. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm uh, I'm recovering from our 3-day backpack trip over the weekend, and Adville's a wonderful thing.
Where'd you guys go?
Just the local mountains up here. We went to San Gabriel's. We hiked up to Spruce Grove, spend the night, and then hiked around to Mount Zion and summited Mount Zion, and then back down to Hoagie's, spent the night, and then hiked out back to Chantry Flats.
That was with your navigators and adventures, or just your adventures?
Navigators and Adventures.
Wow. What was the round trip on that?
There was 13 of us, four adults and nine of our trailmen.
What was the round trip in terms of mileage?
What was it? 8.47, I think, something like that. It wasn't too far.
All right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really a shakeout for multiple nights. We've done a lot of just overnighters,
Right.
but this was our first multiple night where we have to get up, eat, pack up, load the packs, hike to the next campground, and set up camp again. So it was kind of a shakeout run.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep, not too bad. It's not the mileage that was the problem. It was the 3,000 feet of L gain. you
Uh,
know,
we took our my navigators on a trip up Los Padres over here in the Ventura County area, and it was 5 miles in and 5 miles out. And these kids, this is the first time many of them had been backpacking before, and they were, they're, this is hard, hard. We looked at, and I showed them the map when we got. We had a whopping 200 feet of L gate.
oh wow,
It was
that's a walk in the park,
it was
man.
solid, but yeah, but the real challenge with them was, we had a pack check, and a lot of these guys just haven't dialed in their equipment yet. So some of them were carrying, 30, 35 pound bags, and
oh yeah,
they were just suffering. So, and some of these guys were on the smaller side as well. So,
yeah. Mine was at 38, but I had all the food.
uh,
I had my son and I's food with the bear can and everything, and I was at 38 with 3 liters of water.
huh.
So yeah, gotta get everything dialed in. It's fun though. My son absolutely loves it.
Yeah, we're looking to do a winter trip in January. I just saw my advisor, I think, just updated our calendar with some information, but we're in a unique situation where I've got one adventurer in my troop, and we've got, four other troops in the Channel Islands district, and they're all, very, very small representation of adventurers. So we're gonna band together, and so that these guys can have a decent high adventure trip, and all of the adventurers from all five of the troops up here are gonna get together and do something nice.
Yeah, we're looking at putting together our a 4 or 5 night in the end of July up in the Sierras. So that's kind of what our goal is, kind of shooting towards that. So
That's awesome.
I want to go fishing. Uh, and if it's like 500 feet alligator, that would be perfect. we're lucky because we have the San Gabriel's right here close to us, and it's an hour to get there. And basically Altadena, Pasadena, Mount Wilson area is,
Right,
we've been all over Mount Wilson.
right, right. We
We
did
got part of the Silver Moccasin there too.
We did with my daughter's AHG troop. We did Henniger Flats.
Yeah.
That was quite a hike up the mountain.
Hmm.
We got there at nighttime though, and it was quite a view, and it was pretty clear. The smog, there wasn't too much smog in the air. turn around and look off that mountain and look at the view. It was a pretty incredible view.
Yeah, there's a at Mount Low. There's a place called Inspiration Point. It's east of the Rose Bowl. It kind of looks down through Pasadena. That's a really cool spot, especially at night. You stay at Mount Low campground, and then it's about, I don't know, maybe about a third of a mile or maybe a half a mile to Inspiration Point from there, and it's really cool at night. Like I say, it's almost exactly east of the Rose Bowl. You can see the Rose Bowl, and it's really neat. And it's about, I don't know, maybe, I'm just guessing, 3,500 foot level, something like that.
Huh. I'll have to check it out. Mount Low, you said?
Mount Low, yeah. It's kind of rough. It's easy going in, and you leave from Mount Wilson, just above Red Box,
Yeah.
and but the first mile and a half coming out, it's pretty up,
Huh.
but it's worth it.
Um, Looks like we're getting ready to get started here. Is there anybody on the call that just dialed in via phone? All we can see are people that dial in via the computer, so I want to make sure that I recognize anybody that just dialed in via phone. I guess that's a no.
Josh, it's nice. It's nice to be here.
It might.
It's been a super rough week. It's really nice to be here. I am ready tonight. Sorry I couldn't get you anything beforehand.
No worries. I'm glad. I'm glad to see you ambulatory from your experiences from last week. So
And I've been back to Omaha, Nebraska, and just came in last night. So
grief.
It's been a full week to say the least. Anyway, it's just good to be here.
All right. Well, at this point, it looks like the four of us. Let's. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Tom, can you offer up a word of prayer for us?
Sure. Lord, we just come before you tonight. We thank you for this opportunity to serve you and to minister to our trailmen. I thank you for each and every one of these leaders that puts up their time to just raise these young men to glorify you, to build them into strong and godly leaders, godly husbands and fathers. We pray. We lift this night up to you, and we just ask that you would guide us, fill us with your wisdom. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right. I have a quick. If you ever go on Facebook and you spend too much time on there, usually politics will creep into somebody's conversation, and it's I've been for the last couple of weeks just kind of almost to the point of depressed just by the kind of state of the nation and kind of where we're at. But I came across this quote from Abraham Lincoln, and I wanted to share it with you. It says, intelligence, patriotism, Christianity, and a firm reliance on Him who has never yet forsaken this favored land are still competent to adjust in the best of way all our present difficulty. I thought that was apropos for what we were looking at. So, hey, Jerry.
Absolutely.
I see Jerry's dialing in. All right. Well, we'll skip real quick since I think everybody is aware of who everybody is. There it is. Hi, everyone. I think everybody here except for John is on this list. John will not be joining us tonight. He had something going on at his church, so he's not available to join us. There's our training and support staff. And all right, Mike. You are speaking to some of the experienced leaders in the area, so why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Well, would you go ahead and turn over control then to me there?
Yeah, sure. There you go.
Let's see if I can figure that out.
All right, you're now the presenter.
Okay. So I built this training to really deal with folks that are not at, that are really at the unit level, particularly at the Woodlands level. I've gone out there and kind of scanned everything that's out there and tried to do a summary here of what I have found. Now, I can summarize it a lot faster for us so we don't have to spend an awful lot of time, but I'll show you what I've got here. And this is something that we can go ahead and get posted later if people think it's worthwhile. The concerns that I notice in the troop that I'm associated with are people really still are not overly familiar with using Troop Track. They're not hardly familiar at all with using the different Facebook forums. And they'll come back with a lot of the same kinds of questions that are dealt with in both of those places. So the actual intent of what I was trying to what I'm presenting tonight was to be able to say, hey, this stuff is out there. Let me kind of show you quickly where it is and show you that the nature of the things that are out there all point back, almost all of them, with a couple of rare exceptions, point back to just use the national documents, and it answers almost every question that you would have about the Woodlands program. Over the last 3 months, let's see, the last time I made this presentation, I think they had just made the announcements to say, okay, here's the initial material for the Woodlands 2.0 program. And a lot, 50% of the material is out there, and we're getting a lot more out. Well, 3 months later, they've done a fabulous job in really putting out almost all the material that's necessary to have a good, complete Woodlands Trail program. All right. Let's see here. So the intent was then to go out here and say, look, this is just where you go find your documents in Troop Track. Go to Share, National Resources, the Woodlands Trail program. And this is what you're going to end up finding, today. There's 25 documents that are in there, only one of which is an archive of the 1.5 material that was there. One is the Worthy Life program that's been there, for the last 2 years. And everything else in there is all brand new material. 23 out of the 25 documents cover everything that's there. So as you see, this is really where folks need to go if they've got questions. And I'd recommend all of you just really try hard to push them out there. And if not using it necessarily as training for Woodlands Trail, but using it as, hey, get into Troop Track and do this business. In Troop Track, this is what's in there. All of the branch lessons plans, the helps documents, hit the trail activity lists. Every one of these things here, I think there's a couple more on the next page we'll get to as well. I think maybe the one thing I didn't write in here is it shows how to really build your own program, or build your own lesson plans. If you don't want to use the ones that are there or use them as a pattern and want to modify them, it's got the tools for going in there and doing the rest of it. It's got the fire guard checklist, and it's got the woodsman requirements. It's got a welcome thing for committee chairs and rangers and stuff to be able to go out there and say, to new people, here's what's involved in the program. The leader guide is there. It's virtually all there. The other stuff that's left is, that's all the things that are actually there in those documents. So I have to get to one other document, excuse me here, because I wrote this and I am not about to use that horrible word.
It was on the slide. It was written down. We're going to have to sing it.
I'm not saying that word, but I have another page here. Let me see if I can get to what's happened to it. Okay, let me see. Window. Here we go. Come on, let me go to it, please. Well, I want to pick this up.
That's grayed out.
Yeah. Okay, you can you can call this a pronouncement if you like. You can call this a bulletin. You can call it even for Jerry there. I'm going to do this. It's not the, but it is a enunciation. There's all kinds of things you could do there. I've gone through the sort of those things that were there in the Oops, let's get back here. We've gone back out there, and the one thing that is discussed at some detail out there are the pre-orders of Woodlands Trail handbooks in the TL USA official forum Facebook. Now, the other thing that I hope that people will get in from this particular training session is that, hey, if you are a registered leader, you are eligible for membership in this TLA USA official forum. And you should really get in there and be able to kind of follow what's going on. You'll find that you're not the only person with these questions. You're not dumb. You know, you're not asking silly things. Everybody's asking, you know, good questions and silly questions, and everyone's treated respectfully and gets an answer. Almost everything gets an answer. There's one question that came up in here that there is no answer for. But you can go out there, and all of this stuff is stuff that's available not to DSAs and point men and all that stuff, but to every registered leader. We recommend that they actually go out and do that. If there were people who were not in there and wanted to get put in there, then I'll talk to my friend Josh Sanders about how easy that is. Because while I am not a Facebook guru at all, I just hate it for myself personally, but it's critical for use in the program, and you need to learn it well enough to be able to do that. I went out to the store and took a look at what's going on in the store right now for Woodlands Trail program. The handbooks are in stock. The two areas that are most discussed in any of the forums and things like that are tracking charts. And those things are now also all available in the store. We'll get into it a little bit later, but there is one other kind of tracking chart that a lot of people have asked for that is not something that's currently in the store, and I don't know if it's ever going to be. There are these trail maps, Woodlands Trail maps, which are really designed for the individual boys to be able to track themselves at home, in addition to what they can put into their trail handbook. You know, it's a nicer kind of thing for a younger boy to be able to see that at home. There's really probably a need for a similar sort of thing for the troop leadership itself, for the leaders in there to be able to say, okay, here's where I'm sort of formally tracking where the boy is at, if they want to do it on paper. And frequently that needs to be done at least beforehand, before people are able to get it entered into Troop Track. And in Troop Track, it doesn't monitor things down to the level that a lot of the leaders would like to. It's kind of, hey, have you finished this whole branch, and so it's done. In the meantime, as you're tracking the rest of that, you may want to follow that with individual sheets. And later on, we'll show that those things are also available in the Facebook forums in the files. There's 5 different shirts out there. All the new branch patches, pins and stars, everything's out there, and all of the cards that are here, including as the boys are getting ready as they're picking up skills and getting ready to come up into the navigator group.
Hey, Mike, can I stop you here for a second?
Oh, absolutely. Especially among
specifically, I'd like to hear maybe from Mike. I see Mike McGarahan has jumped on, or Tom or Teresa. Are you guys using those tracking charts, and are you actually seeing that it's helpful to the program? Because we have a tracking chart that's on the wall, and it just, I mean, it's there. Sometimes the kids use it. It doesn't seem to really be generating the excitement like a star chart or something, in school would be doing. Are you guys seeing anything like that?
Now, we are not using the chart. What we use is we have an Excel file that we use, and we keep it in Dropbox, and all the Woodlands Trail leaders have access to it. We have a chart for the foxes, hawks, and mountain lions, and that's how we track it. We track it on Dropbox. But for the kids themselves to know where they're at, that's always been an issue, and I don't know if the tracking chart is a good thing or not. We haven't got into that yet.
Okay. So the questions that the questions and the resources that have been developed out on these forums would indicate that most people are doing just like you are. That their primary concern is being able to have an Excel spreadsheet where they can track all of this themselves on one sheet, and I truly get that. There have been a number of other ones who've come in that said they would like to have individual sheets that they can use. You know, they have 15 kids, they'll have 15 sheets that they can run through quickly and update and get the individual look at where somebody is, down to maybe a little more detail. Well, that's generally speaking, that overall thing is the number one thing that people have been concerned about in trying to implement this program. And so now there really are a lot of resources. In Mike McGarahan's troop, I don't think that they've actually got those charts in yet. They haven't. They've been ordering them, but I don't think they got them in and been using them to any great degree.
Okay. Teresa, how about your troop? Are you guys using anything like that?
Well, can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay. We have the charts, and believe it or not, just this weekend, I got a mother to take them home to put the names on the chart. So we'll see how far we get moving forward, but that's as far as we've gotten. We've gotten the charts, and I finally got a mom who's willing to put the names on the charts. So we'll see.
Okay.
I mean, I'm telling our parents, look, this program just rolled out. We just started it in September. We're only in November. Little by little.
Right. Okay.
It's before that, none of our Woodlands families were really even aware that there was kind of any advancement. They just knew that every now and then we gave their son a branch pin. They never really understood how they got it, why they got it. They just got it, and no one seemed to complain. So it's just going
to... Teresa, I think that's wonderful. I'm going to talk to that. I'd like to talk to that a little bit later. I think that's okay. Wonderful. I will say that one of the forum discussions had a kind of humorous note to it. This guy went into great detail about how they track everything, and you know, the leaders at the end of each meeting mark everything on paper, and they get it into the troop secretary, and she, you know, over the course of the next day or two, gets everything updated. And I think they probably put it out on, you know, they probably have that file available out on Dropbox or something like that too. Of course, the whole thing ended with, "Wow, you have a secretary?" Right. So that's still the basic key to doing all of this is making sure that everybody is lending a hand, so and finding the place that's most urgent for you.
Is that the truth?
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
This is Jerry Paulson. Well, you know, I don't have experience in trail life, but my wife and I have been den leaders in Cub Scouts. And we used to have the den meetings in our home, and then we would meet once a month with the Cub Pack. But we had those advancement charts. The boys would bring their wolf book or their bear book. They'd bring their book signed by their folks, and then we would have the kids actually walk up to the wall chart, and they would actually fill in the advancement that they did. So they really felt like they had ownership of the program. The boys could see how they were advancing. So that's how we did it back in the day in Cub Scouts.
Yeah, we have ours up on a wall where we do our joint opening, and usually after we do our joint opening, our woodlands are dismissed to another room, and then the room where we do the joint opening, that's where our navigator adventurers do their portion of the meeting, and then that poster just stays, you know, on the back wall, and it really kind of seems like, you know, sometimes I got to remind the woodland leaders, oh, don't forget, you know, send your kids over there to get signed off, and I kind of get the feeling that, you know, some of the kids are going over there and some of them aren't, and it just doesn't seem to be really, you know, having the excitement level that you know, I was hoping that it would, you know, that the kids would like to see, you know, hey, look at this, I'm earning something new, and they get to see a visual representation.
Well, my wife and I put the assistant dinner in charge. We had a dinner and an assistant dinner. And the dinner was in charge of the meeting, and of course we counseled the young people. But the assistant dinner was in charge of gathering the boys up to their wall chart to fill it out. And he felt like he had a real leadership position, making sure that everybody's working together. So
Okay.
that's how we did that.
So Jerry, that was done at the den level, right?
Correct. In other words,
So
like in trail life, you have breakout sessions, so you could do the same thing when you're fox meet or your hawks or your mountain lions, and it's just part of the meeting. You have your opening and you have your advancement and then announcements, and then you do your activity, and then you close the meeting with milk and cookies. That's how we did it.
when they broke out into the dens is when you did that. So it didn't take an overall long time, where you didn't do this in front of the whole pack.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. We did it in the den meeting itself.
Okay.
I want to come over to Jerry's house for milk and cookies.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hey, I never met any bad milk and cookies yet.
All right. So then I went into the discussion area on the USA Official Forum, and you guys should be really proud of Josh. If you don't do this on your own, Josh is he's a real active guy out there, asking smart questions and responding to lots of good people and stuff. So it's a little comforting to know that he's here doing this. Although this was one of the few questions that that he really did have was with. These are things that specifically dealt with woodlands things. There's a lot of other forum discussions out there about the overall program, about the older scouts and that kind of stuff. But specifically dealing with the younger kids, the first thing I want you to notice is there's not that many questions. It's an active forum, but there's not that many questions, for what some people might think of as, oh, well, gosh, it's a brand new program, this Woodlands 2.0. And the point I'd like to make is that it was very well crafted. They spent a lot of time doing this and doing it right, I think. And so I had a lot of confidence. But there still, of course, are some questions, either something hasn't been dealt with or has not been clearly laid out. Now, I may have a little bit of a problem here because the Word document that I intended to do, I didn't get it printed out before we started, and has most of the answers, but I can remember most of it. So Josh had a problem here, put out that, he's all of a sudden, he's getting these woodlands that are only coming for half of the meetings, and was seeking some good questions, some good answers or ideas, and most of which, I think I've heard all of us talk about at some point in the past. We've got some reasonable experience, but in general, I'd say that most of the answers were what we would hear is that, well, make sure that you're not killing these kids with having them sit still. Have them make sure they're running around almost out of control if that's what it takes, so that they're truly having fun. That's to be the number one thing in order for them to want to push their own parents to come back and participate. There were some other ideas out there, but Josh, I tell you what, I'll let you discuss this since you're the one who is really keeping an eye on it.
Well, yeah, I mean that was the basic response back from them, and was basically fun. Keep it as fun as you can, within the constraints of the program. It didn't apply. Well, maybe it did. I guess I could be honest about my own program, but I'm pretty sure we're doing the program as written with the lesson plan, and the kids are having a good time. But for our situation, it seems like it's almost less of a team. Like if a kid joined a sports team, they wouldn't think of missing half the practices in a month. And that's kind of what we're seeing is it's almost trying to find the right words, but it's almost like a lack of urgency to come here. It's like we'll come if we feel like coming, and that, I don't know quite how to handle that situation.
Yeah, Josh, we're kind of having that same situation. What we've done is we've moved into having more hit the trails on Saturdays, then because our meetings are on Sunday nights.
Okay.
So we moved into having more outings, more hit the trails. Instead of having one a month, we're having two a month now. And on the weekends that we have a hit the trail, we have a lot of participation on the Saturdays. And then we'll have one or two of our Woodlands Trail leaders at the meeting on Sunday for those kids that did not go to the hit the trail or that just want to come on Sunday, or if we have new kids come. So it seems like our participation is picking up a little bit now with more outings being out, and that kind of lends itself to the 2.0 pattern of more hands-on, get out and do it type stuff. Maybe Mike can talk about that a little bit. Actually, every one of these questions on that list right there is questions that we could answer, because I think they're all great questions, and I have about most of those questions myself.
Okay, sorry for the noise. We're trying to get this to stop. Hold on.
I mean, one of the major questions we have right now is the question number 2: how do we convert from 1.5 to 2.0 with leaves, and how does that affect the 2.0 Worthy Life and Timberline Award down at the bottom down there?
All right, so I'm glad you asked part of that question. Some of it you guys will have to probably help me out with. This was one that was a big question in Mike McGarrahan's troop here. So let me read the question as it got presented in the forum and the answer that we were able to get from one of the national representatives. So he says, the question says, after reviewing the 2.0 material, I have a question. As I understand it, any completed branches or stars for a patrol in 1.5 can be carried forward into 2.0. However, if a branch or star is not completed, let's say you got only 8 of 9 leaves completed, then nothing carries forward into the 2.0 program. All the leaves are lost, and the trailman must start over for the incomplete branch star using the new steps model. In other words, no translation of leaves to steps. Is that correct? All right, here's the answer. Yes, you understand correctly. There is no transition from leaves to steps. However, each troop will figure out how they transition best. So, of course, it's logically a problem here. There is a transition, there has to be, but the troop gets to figure out how they transition best. I advise leaders to just go ahead and grant the branch to the boy, or even have them do a family home activity or two to, quote, finish it. Then move on with the new program. And here's the important part, I think. Just keep in mind that it is the experience that matters and not the award. So if the boy has had the experience, then give him the award. As for troop tracking, it only tracks by branch anyway, so it doesn't know or care whether it is earned by leaves or steps. And I would, Jim, I'd agree with you. If there's an impact on awards later on, that will carry over, I think, especially into adventures. Then there may be a problem there, and you guys can probably help me and see if there is something like that. But one of the major things that all of us as senior leaders probably have to guard ourselves against is coming out of the other program. We are somewhat tainted ourselves by as much as we didn't want to be. We're undoubtedly tainted a lot by the amount of awards and things that went on. The awards are necessary for boys, and we need to always be thinking back to that. They need to be able to stay motivated and all that kind of stuff. But we tended to set up our programs to make sure that people could actually be able to complete all these different little things. And we need to make sure in everything that we do that we're trying to remember that we are a character development program. And that may mean that will mean different things to a lot of different people. Some people will be just real hard about it and say, nope, the character here means that you need to know there's a bar you got to jump over, by golly, and you're going to do it no matter what. There's no flex in this at all. That's easy. Obviously, we could preach about Pharisees and that kind of stuff, but it's not always that. What it frequently comes down to is, hey, I need this to be crystal clear, so I don't have to take the time to make the judgment decision or answer it, because I've got a busy schedule and I just need to get on with it. In a lot of cases, not just this, in a lot of cases, we need to remember that we have to be able to sit back and say, what's best for this boy? What's best for the troop? The program has, there's some concern of, within a program that you maintain its validity and its integrity. But in this program, National has been very clear about saying, particularly in the Woodlands area, you need to be flexible. Obviously, with things like the Freedom Award and Horizon Award and things like that, they're making sure that people meet those requirements. But even there, I can tell you from doing this now that there has been a little bit of flex in a few things. It will probably become more rigid over time. But the idea is to make sure that you're getting the output that you're looking for, which in this case is young men that are good citizens, courageous Christians, and with great character. So the official answer is you have a choice on how to do this transition from leaves to steps from 1.5 to 2.0. There's got to be some discussion on that.
Tom, did that answer your concerns?
Yeah, it's basically what we're doing, because there is no, like you say, there is no clear-cut conversion, and we've got a lot of, especially like our second-year mountain lions, right? That's where the problem really lies, right? Because they're trying to get their Timberline Award, and they're trying to finish up their Sylvan Stars, and some of them had 2 or 3 leaves or 4 leaves or whatever, and that's the main concern right now is for the second-year mountain lions. I think all the rest of the Woodlands trails, it's fairly simple. But my second-year mountain lions that are shooting for the Timberline Award, we really sat down with the ranger and kind of made our own assessment of where we stand on that, because we don't want to hurt the boys from getting their Timberline Award. So we would rather err on the side of, I don't want to say giving it to them, but on the side of leniency, let's say, right? Than to err on the side of being too rigid.
So let me read the one line again that was in this response. So just keep in mind it's the experience that matters and not the award. So if the boy has had the experience, give him the award.
Exactly.
And they only need the Forest Award for Timberline. They don't need Sylvan Stars. So
yeah.
So, and up to you. Yeah, it's still up to you. There, what works best. But I tell you what I would do, I guess, and that is, so that it doesn't become a 2-year problem. Just say next year, you got to do what you got to be fully compliant with 2.0 or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. So the second-year Hawks and the second-year Mountain Lions, they're going to get some leniency this year, but next year, it's we'll be fully 2.0. It's a transition. That's all you can do.
Knowing who you are, I can't imagine that you're going to cheat them of the experience. So, okay, so that's good. Okay. So, and like you pointed out, that further down there, Jack Arnold has posted a single-page sign-off sheet for 2.0 that includes the Worthy Life and Timberline stuff. So that's there's 3 or 4 different tracking sheets out there. Josh was going to have one, but he's kind of gotten overwhelmed with some other things, and I think he probably even had one, but didn't have the full. Didn't have the full.
No, I have one. It's a Google sheet, and I discovered some bugs in it. It's working for our troop, and I'm allowing our troop to work the bugs out. But I did unshare the spreadsheet because I thought, well, this is not my best work. So at some point, hopefully soon, I'll repost and everybody will have it. So
okay. There was a pretty active discussion there for a while about the Worthy Life Award badge and crosses. This was really the logistics of the thing. And it kind of carries over into a discussion I saw tonight as well, actually, with the standard. In some cases, boys actually qualify for the presentation of award before they've actually kind of done a lot of meaningful work. A couple places where that can happen. And the same thing here. If you're working on the Worthy Life Award badge, you can actually get the award badge before you've done any meaningful work, and then when you finish it, you could get the cross that goes with it. And then anytime you do any more work in that area, you get an additional cross that you put onto that badge. There was some confusion here about, wow, when do you give this? Well, most of the troops, kind of like Josh has been doing in his troop with the standard, you don't present the standard and then start presenting every little thing that you got to all the different steps up along the way, so you can post it on there. Generally speaking, you do work that's involved with getting a meaningful portion of the work done. Then you would present those things the first time together, and then you've got this, the standard, for instance, after they get the able trailman, yeah. Able trailman. After they get that, then they can continue to get their things posted on there. But beforehand, you could technically give it to them if they were a recruit, and then start having them posted immediately. Instead, it's, well, why don't you wait? Logistically, for those, it makes a whole lot of sense for the standards. Same thing goes though for the award badges and all. And my personal experience in almost anything, when you give it out too early, people just don't come anymore. They stop. Almost the first time you give them something for nothing, they stop because they feel like, well, obviously it's not a very valuable program. It's not valued if that's what it costs to get it. So in general, those are the things that I've seen. I don't know how many hundreds of dollars have been wasted back in the old program with, you recruit some, get a good feeder, even when you get a good feeder pack into a troop, and you do the crossover, and boy, you give them a kerchief, and you give them a hat, and you give them a handbook, and give them all this stuff. If they're not fully entrenched in the program beforehand, if they're new in any way, you've lost them. You push them away with that kind of valueless, in the minds of the receiver, valueless gift. So you've got, that's my personal opinion. So generally speaking, that was kind of the answer, not without the final tag there, for that particular discussion. There was some confusion on in the turnover here, what to do for name tags. I think it had more to do really with just name tags with those kids running around in general, as much as anything else. But the idea on this one is that the cards and things I don't think are really going to be available, necessary anymore. Kids will be tracking, as we've talked about here on these other tracking charts and sheets, and more importantly, they can track in their own handbooks. The one thing that is not discussed that I see anywhere is that you need to treat a handbook really well for it to last very long. And I don't have my copy of the new handbook, so I don't know what kind of quality it is. And of course, kids always lose them and that kind of stuff as well, especially at the younger ages. But the idea is have them take some pride and ownership in that book and keep it maintained. Those were the answers for that. One person asked about they were trying to do some joint work with their AHG sister troop, and there was a special needs event where they were doing something with them. And a person pointed out that there's already some elective trail badge requirements for the older boys that are posted that they were able to use, with in conjunction with the HG program. But there isn't anything posted at this point for Woodlands level, and they asked somebody going to put something out there for that. It was directed specifically at Laura Burton, and there's been no response on that. So I don't have an answer for this. I don't know how large a need that is right now. I'm guessing they're focusing on other things. Anybody else have anything on that?
I would think there would be something in like values or even life skills that you could substitute in the for special needs awareness. I think I remember that question, and I thought it was something to do with like an awareness, not necessarily for a trailman that has special needs and how to accommodate him. I think
You're correct, Josh. It wasn't for that. It was for if you're at an event, at a special needs event, focused on trying to give an awareness to the young men about the fact that there are a lot of folks with special needs out there. Is there something to help with that?
Yeah, I don't have the requirements in front of me, but I would think either life skills or values, you should be able to dovetail something in for one of those objectives.
Yeah. Okay, and as I mentioned a number of times here, the local tracking sheets, there are a number of them out there. So in that form, in the files area. Let's go on here. Move along, little doggy. Come on. Okay, the last two questions that were in there. Seems to me electives are nothing more than an additional step. Is this true? The answer was yes, that's true. It says you are correct. You just get to choose which ones are most relevant to your troop, and for some branches, make your own. Which is really probably similar to the answer for the last one, the special needs thing at this point in time. And then the last question is there should have been any truth to the rumor about a Woodlands Trail 2.5 coming out in the next year or two? The answer, a resounding no. The program people are really very happy with it. It was a tremendous amount of work, and they need to move on for sure to do other things. And I assume if anybody finds anything major in there, they certainly could go ahead and make a minor correction. Part of the thing that drove this was somebody saying, should I go ahead and invest in a handbook? And the answer, in fact, I'll let Teresa answer that. She gave the best answer of all, I thought. They were concerned about getting a book that was going to be obsolete.
Oh, I was like, yeah, it'll be a collector's item later on.
Exactly.
Like our our uniforms with was it 49 stars or 51 stars?
I think it was like 54 stars or some random.
I still wear that one. So yeah, that's exactly right. No new program. Get your books. Utilize the books. Everyone who's gotten them so far, haven't seen one complaint about them. The one concern, which somebody brought this up as, these are the best things since sliced bread, basically. Get it. My boy read the whole thing in 2 days. And I thought, ooh, that's not good. 2 days. You want to make sure he doesn't get bored with it. But yeah, they're very good, and everyone has said so. So please move out on that.
How many troops are currently using the handbooks? All of you guys have them? We currently do not have them.
So I know that Mike McGarahan's troop has not gotten many, if any, of them yet. The big discussion on should you go ahead and buy 40 books and get a $100 discount on it. On the website now, it appears that you can buy singles, as well as the case lots. So they are available, but it's still it seems to be relatively new. So.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering. This is Mike. Thanks for answering for me, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And, but anyway, no, we wanted to mention that last committee meeting, we agreed to buy 3 of them. We were just going to give 1 to each of the patrols and allow them to go through it and look and see, discuss with the parents, adult leaders, and see, hey, is this something that'd be worthwhile investment for you to work with from now through the time as a Woodland? So we haven't gotten them yet. So when we do, we will be able to talk about it a lot more and just kind of see if it fits, if it's a good idea, if people want to move forward.
Yeah, Troop 1199. We had 2 brand new boys, brothers. Dad came in, immediately volunteered to be a woodland trail guide, which I'll have to rib him a little bit why he's not on this call tonight. But his 2 boys came up to me out of nowhere, and they had purchased the book themselves off the website, and they came up with their branch patch stuff signed off by Dad. And I wasn't expecting it, and they just came up to me and said, "Mr. Sanders," and they handed me the books. And so it was good to see that they were using it.
Yeah, we're getting ready to place some purchase. So I don't know that we're going to buy 40, but we'll probably get a good 20 of them and start putting it into place probably right at January 1.
Hey, Josh, I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
Do the boys have their own personal Bible?
Honestly, you're talking about those 2 specific boys?
Any of the boys in Trail Life, do they have their own personal Bible?
Many of my boys do. I do know that.
What I would do is if the boys have a Bible, their own personal Bible, or their parents encourage them to have even a children's Bible, I would, and you're talking about taking care of the handbook, I would make that a responsibility for young people to have their Bible and their handbook. Keep both books together. I picked up my Woodlands book. As a matter of fact, today I got 3 of them. I got it right next to my Navigator Adventure book over here, right next to my Bible. So there. Make it one complete package.
It's a good word.
Yeah, I think it is a good word.
The
Okay.
Trail Life Bibles are back in stock.
Oh, are they really?
What are in those, Teresa?
I don't know. I just got one. I'm waiting for it to get here.
I
Doing
think
some early Christmas
they're-
shopping.
I think they're just branded. On the inside it says Trail Life USA or something. I'm not sure there's any supplemental material in like study guides or anything like that.
Okay. So I think this is about my last slide. On Trail Life Connect, there are no updates specifically pertinent to the Woodlands program, which is a really great sign to me. What I'm saying is that I really feel like this is a pretty well finished program as far as being built. Now it's just a matter of implementing it, and there will always be some minor things that will come up, which we've seen here. But this is so relatively few. It's really quite amazing to me. And even in our SoCal area Facebook accounts, there's nothing in there specifically for for the Woodlands Trail program.
Right.
That's it. That's what I've got there. Now the summary I want to go back to is again what I just said, that I think the program is really good. I really believe we need to force people out into the basic material. They've worked so hard to make it available. There's still, you have to go through doing a little bit of searching, within the helps and the guides to find specifically what you want. But the material is there to certainly give you every idea that you want. And then as we're going through these things, don't ever want us to forget though, that the purpose of the program is to develop this godly character in these young men. And there will be any number of questions, any other questions that come up. And those kinds of things, if you can keep that in mind, it isn't about all the awards and all the accoutrement and that kind of thing that would go on the uniforms and all that. In fact, if it distracts from the character development business, then it's not good. If it keeps boys interested and, and it's clear what the purpose of these things are, and it's to have them stay engaged and that you're putting in as much time on how to build the character as the rest of that, then, it's probably fine. But that will change based on who all your leaders are and, the whole nature of the group and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's my training for the night.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Let me take back presenter again.
You bet.
Show my screen. Okay, can everyone see the slide there?
Yes.
You don't need to see my mug. All right, hold on. All right, I'm not going to say the word, but there it is right there.
So the other words that I have listed here for this: declaration, notification, reporting, publishing, broadcasting, statement, report, proclamation, pronouncement, bulletin, and even communique.
You're no fun.
But not that one.
All right. Very quickly, where's my screen? We are looking for equipped trainers. Basically the requirement, you had to be an equipped graduate. I mean, there's some other ones in there that they're wanting you to staff and equip and be willing to volunteer for at least one a year, which is actually the goal, to hold one of these things a year. But really, you need to be an equipped graduate to become an equipped trainer. So we had a large group of people. I know, Tom, you had people from your troop. I know 281 had a bunch of people from their troop. Teresa, I think your troop was pretty well represented as well. But we really need to have somebody on there that's willing to step up and say, yeah, I'm willing to be a trainer. Not necessarily a director, just to be an actual trainer. So keep that in prayer, and if you have anybody that's willing to do it, let John Herring know. We are still looking for a permanent point man. John is looking to get out of here within the next month. He's got enough on his plate. It can't be an existing troop master. So Mike McGarrahan, Tom Tremblay, and I, we're off the hook with the rest of somebody needs to step up and do this gig. I'm doing a bunch of stuff from the area level. I'm willing to help out as much as I can. We really just need to be somebody who can be, who's willing to stand in the gap and do this job. But in addition to troop master, we really need some DSAs. And in the Los Angeles district, there's no DSAs. There's no DSAs in the Inland Empire district. The DSA coach, or baby, how I describe it, and I think Mike, you do the same. It's really just a friend of the troop, somebody who could be the first line of support for a troop that's got a question, checking in on them, seeing how they're doing, and then again looking for area chaplain, membership chairman, and then a training chairman, somebody who can put me in check and make sure that I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing here in the roundtable. So. All right. You guys all know about the adult training. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. Roundtable. Next month's roundtable is for committee members. So Jerry, that'll be your gig. And then January we'll come back around and we'll be doing Navigator Adventure program leaders. Let me ask you real quick. We don't have a lot of time because it's already 9:22. Do you guys still see worth for your troops for this roundtable training, given the fact that there's 6 of us on here and we are the probably some of the more experienced core members of the area? Do you and Tom, Teresa, Mike McGarrahan, do you see worth in this for your troop?
I personally like it. One thing, one thing for why we don't have more of our guys on here, we just got back from a backpack over the weekend, and we have two things going on this weekend that I keep getting emails for right now. Is we're having a fundraiser on Saturday, and Sunday is the last day for Operation Christmas Child. So I got many of my guys working in the background right now on those certain subjects. That's why we don't see anybody else from our troop on here right now. Um, I think the biggest question right now is the one we went over tonight is the Woodlands Trail 2.0 and how to implement it. And that's probably where I get the most questions from my guys at, and probably that's going to subside as we go forward. But I know my ranger's been on here a couple of times and he's gotten a lot out of it, so I'd like to just speak for him.
All right, Mike McGarahan, what do you think?
Well, Josh, primarily, I think the biggest thing comes down to promoting it, and I probably fall short of that as well. I've especially in the woodlands, there really isn't a good reason not to do it if you're really interested in moving forward and gaining some tidbits and better information. But yeah, I wouldn't be quick to pull the plug on it, but I think we could do a better job of promoting it as well. Tom had a good point when people are busy, but we're all busy, right? So if there's something you can gain.
I'm not busy at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
I can find something for you to do.
Yeah.
Josh, I know that there's
one. I'm sorry, Mike. I heard, Josh, you were building hammocks in your spare time and test driving them all the time too. So
yeah, right.
I know that in Mike's troop, there's at least one mother who always goes and checks the recording. She's unable to do. Excuse me. She's unable to get online for the our particular time, and I don't know if it's a timing issue or an equipment issue for her, but she is able to go back and get the recording, and she does that every month.
All right. I don't want to spend too much time because we do have a number of slides to get through. But Teresa, what about you? Are you still seeing value in this, or is it maybe we need to maybe redirect our efforts?
I see value in the monthly calls, not so much on the training, but that's just because I'm usually the only one from my troop on the call.
Right.
And I've tried to get my other leaders on the call, but most of my leaders, they have families of 4 or 5 kids with preschoolers and toddlers, and they're tired. I don't think they can make the calls. But hopefully someone brought up a good point. Maybe I can just start pointing them to the recordings.
Hey, Josh, one thing I'd like to add is maybe instead of the specific trainings, every once in a while we could just have an open table forum where we can just talk about whatever's, things that our troops are doing or idea.
Okay.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know if am I making any sense?
Yeah, the only thing that's hard about that is you've got the limitations of the video conference / conference call. But I think we could certainly do that. One of the things I don't know if you guys have noticed that we did do differently is the whole pronouncement. There you go, Mike. That's for you. Section is now at the tail end of this, so we may or may not even get through all the stuff that we've got going on. And we put the training up front because that's the main purpose of what we're doing. So that was why we say a prayer, we do something that's a patriotic opening, and then we go right into the training. So that was one change that I made, I think, back in September or October. But you guys are the audience, so I'm definitely going to take into account with what you're saying. So yeah, we could do an open forum and just shoot the breeze and see what's going on with each other's units.
Yeah, I would like
Hey,
that.
Josh,
I feel that would build camaraderie between the individual troops, and even out of that may come a joint effort. Like we were talking about before the meeting about backpacking or whatever, right? We have some adventurers that want to go on a 25, 30 miler, and we could put something together. This would be the place to discuss that.
Right.
I second it.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Equip Youth is happening January 12th through January 14th. This is Equip for your navigator and adventure leaders, or really any navigator or adventure that's interested in leadership. The cost is $30 a participant. That does include the food. It's going to be held up in Simi Valley at Corriganville Regional Park. We are only registering trailmen through their troops. So if your troop is interested, you have to. There's a pre-register site there at the bottom, traillifesocal.wixsite.com/home/equip-youth. Sorry about the long URL. That's actually the new SoCal website that we put up. So you'll start seeing that URL here moving forward. But again, trailmen can't register for this thing individually, so you do have to register as a troop. So pick somebody from your troop committee, go to this site and register. We haven't had a whole lot of registrations, and we'd like to really. We've got three boys who are going to be older adventurers and recently aged out freedom rangemen who are going to be doing the bulk of the training. So it's going to be an excellent event. So highly recommend you getting your patrol leaders and your first officers to sign up. So Warrior Games, Teresa, go ahead. Oh, by the way, Teresa, that URL down there that does point directly back to your Google site. So I just started throwing in that as the main link. So
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, I can share. You can give me control of the screen. I want to show a Google map of Oaks Ranch so people can visualize it. Or can you pull up Green Oak Ranch on Google Maps?
You're the presenter. Go ahead.
Okay, great. All right, so can you? I'll make it quick because I know I see the time. But I went and I visited Green Oaks Ranch this weekend in Vista. They're just on the south side of Camp Pendleton. The reason why I went to go visit them is they told me they have a large field that we could potentially use to host the camping portion of Warrior Games because we ran out of space at Camp San Mateo. And so if you can see my Google map there, I don't know, do you see my arrow?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the field he's talking about. There's a dirt field here which could hold some parking. This is actually a pond right here that they can go fishing in if they wanted to. There's more parking here. There's actually RV hookups in here as well. This is actually a stage, and then this is just all open field area, probably where we would set up tables and pop-ups and whatnot for meals. There's more field underneath this tree canopy. So more area here for tents. And then this comes up into a large dirt field, which could be parking or it could be used for more tents if we needed space for more tents, and then he would put our cars somewhere else. But this was a great facility. We took a tour of the whole place. They have an archery range, BB gun range, pool, as you can see there, petting zoo, craft area would be probably a good one for woodlands if we ever wanted to do a woodlands camp. But their main purpose for running this ranch, this is a large 100+ acreage ranch, and up off the map here is a resident area for those coming through a recovery program. And so he just wanted to be upfront with me about that, so I want to be upfront with you guys that the ranch is worked by people coming through as residents for recovery, and the other half of the ranch is utilized by groups like us who just need facilities, but we run our own program. But they're not looking to make money off of the people using their facilities. They're just looking to support their recovery program. And so he's willing to negotiate, and right now he's giving me a price of $5 to $6 per person per night to camp there. And that would give us access to anything and everything we wanted to have access to at the facility.
Teresa, my check them out from here. What's the green field to the left of the pool?
This field over here by the pool?
Yes.
That's another field that could be used, but that particular weekend of Warrior Games, he's got some people that are using their cabins and they may need access to that field for their program. He said he might be able to put us up in one portion of it if we needed the extra space. But for future events, that would also be available for tenting.
So we're thinking everybody puts in for cancellation of the San Marcos campsite, and then everybody there's room. We're thinking in that green patch there for everybody to fit in there.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
I asked him to give me the exact acreage. It looked pretty big, and like I said, there's more field underneath the canopy. We could camp up on this dirt field up at the top. And if we really needed the space, we could come over to this field, the part of the field where on the other side of the pool. And then he said he has tons of place for parking. So if we really needed to, we could park elsewhere and just hoof it.
So this is for this year's upcoming Warrior Games. Am I correct?
That's what I was looking at it for, because we've ran out of campsites at Camp San Mateo. We have at least 2-3 troops that have reached out to me and said they don't have any sites at Camp San Mateo, but they wanted to go.
Teresa?
Yeah.
This is Mike McGarrihan, Troop 281, sometimes known as Leslie. But I didn't want to, throw you off. Hey, I had that same scenario. I actually went in to try to get a spot, and I talked to, and this is at San Mateo, to, I guess, the head ranger at that park. And he said that they had plans to open up the 2 lower loops for that weekend for us, because apparently there was somebody else at another troop who called in and said they wanted some spots. So as it stands now, loop, I think it's 101 through 160 something is open, and then there's a smaller one even further down below in that map that will be open too. If you would like me to share some information.
If you can share, because when I called them, they told me it was going to be closed for the rest of the season for maintenance.
Yeah, I got the same call, and I was getting some conflicting information, so I made more calls and sat on hold longer and got through to a gal named Shauna, who ended up putting me on Monday, the following Monday, in touch with this gentleman. I'm sorry I don't have anything in front of me. You're going to talk about this tonight. I would have been better prepared, but he said, oh, we planned on opening up for that weekend for you guys, for you to come in. So, because normally they were closed from now through the beginning of March, with the exception of a weekend in around Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I can email that to you, his name and number. So if you want, if you decide to stick with Mateo, great. Or if you decided to just bail on them, I just hope you don't have any trouble with people who have reservations getting their money back if they've already prepaid.
No, we had tons of people cancel last year.
Okay.
When the storms came.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm bringing it up. And Josh, I don't know if we're going to do our camping committee meeting this month.
Yeah, I think it's next week, next Wednesday.
Okay. Just wanted to share what I discovered, but so it's available. It's also available in the summer, but we can talk about that later. But to me, it was a great spot, and like I said, he's willing to work with us on price, because their goal is not to make a profit, but just to support the ranch and the recovery program.
Hey, Teresa, one more question, if I may.
Yeah.
What's the distance between this campground and paintball, the Pendleton paintball park?
It's 15 minutes closer than San Mateo to the paintball.
Okay, all right.
It's further for most of our troops traveling because it's on the south side of Pendleton. But it is 15 minutes closer to the park.
And just because.
So if you're coming from Camarillo.
It's off the 76.
Okay.
Teresa, I have two questions for you, and then I'll let Josh get a word in. Um, um, one is with this amount of trailmen that's going to be there, are we going to try to extend the paintball hours so that we get more games in? Sounds like we're going to have a massive turnout this year, and I was just wondering if you were approaching that situation and how you were going to handle that. And then the second thing is Timmy and a couple of our other trailmen are still planning on doing the worship service Sunday morning. Is that what you had planned?
That'd be great. Yeah, and this field has that stage. That white box right there is actually a raised stage that's equipped, electrical, covered, everything.
Okay, either place, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, either place you can do it. And as far as numbers, I hope to get. I'm starting to get caught up on a lot of things, so hopefully I'll be able to get an actual registration form out there so we can start getting some real numbers. And then once we get some real numbers, I can work with the paintball park on how best to handle the volume.
Okay.
The question I had, Teresa, just because my community is going to ask, when you say recovery, you're talking about drug and alcohol recovery?
Yes, he went through the whole security spiel, though. It is a Christian camp.
Okay.
And so he went through the whole spiel on security and background checks and the full vetting of any of their residents before they come over.
Okay. Well, yeah. Why don't we discuss and make a final decision maybe at the camping committee meeting next week? And but I like it. I think it's a great option.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right. Can everyone see the slide? I think, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Channel Islands District Patrol Rally. Theme is Survivor. We did finally narrow down the cost. The cost is going to be $25 a person for the weekend rate. That's if you're camping 1 or 2 nights. And if you're just coming for Saturday for the majority of the activities, but you're not going to be spending the night, it's $18 a person. Our program committee, we're still trying to narrow down. This is actually going to be a youth run event. So we do have a first officer and a second officer selected. We're just trying to get their schedules synced up so that we can get them together and actually plan the program. But last year we had lashings and chariots and an archery, knot tying relay. We did. We've added swimming. There's a swimming pool there. We did go ahead and make that decision last week to add swimming. We had a mega gateway challenge, climbing walls, zip line. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time last year. And looking forward to it. It's camp. It's basically camporee. It's patrol rally. The patrols are descending upon this place, and they're patrol versus patrol. So it's a lot of friendly competition going on. The website down there at the bottom, Trail Life SoCal wixsite.com/home/California Patrol Rally or CI Patrol Rally. We'll be having the registration pamphlets will be going out next week or next month. So be on the lookout for that. Southern California Area Summer Adventure. We did set some dates for that. It's probably 95% sure that we are going to have a August 13th to August 17th Summer Adventure. It's going to most likely be at Verdugo Pines Bible Camp, which is in Angeles National Forest. It's going to be open to mountain lion, navigator, and adventure youth trailmen. And again, you can see the website down at the bottom. Be on keep that on your frequently visit, and we'll be adding some information as the camping committee kind of figures out what we want to do. So save the date, regional roundup. There will be an opportunity for some of your adventures. This would be a super adventure opportunity to get up into Alaska. Probably be a little much to get your navigators up there, but that'll be happening July of 2018. And then 2019 in July, they're going to be doing the National Co-Venture, which is the combined adult convention plus a big summer adventure, similar to a jamboree, which I believe is a copyrighted term from BSA. So I guess we won't say that name anymore. So appointment update. We did charter 2 new troops, one in Vista, 3106, chartered to Calvary Chapel Vista. And then Troop 760 chartered to St. Mary's School in Escondido. So I think my basic arithmetic was correct, and we had 26 troops. However, we are possibly looking at looks like Troop 148 in Lancaster might not be surviving into past their recharter. They're having some charter difficulties, so keep them in prayer, and hopefully Kurt and the rest of those guys out there will be able to move past that. That's the map of our current area. We do have a pre-charter up there in Tulare. Is it Tulare? Is that how you pronounce that? I've lived in California all my life, and I actually have no idea how to pronounce that. I think it's Tulare. We do still have a pre-charter in Las Vegas, waiting for somebody to trigger.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure it's Tulare.
Tulare. All right. And then we do have a pre-charter in Glendale as well. I don't have any information on that, but hopefully that they finish their charter here pretty soon. All right, that's pretty much it. Q&A and staff minute is the last minute questions. Anybody has anything?
No, you did a fine job.
Yeah, I run a PowerPoint like nobody's business. So I guess especially for the individual troop leaders, myself, Mike, McGarrahan, Tom, and Teresa, I guess let's just resolve to do a little bit better job promoting it, I guess, to our leaders. I know I've been really relying on just the automated emails and whatnot that go out, but maybe a personal personal outreach to some of our leaders to see if we can get them on. So next month is committee meetings with Jerry, and we'll pick it up there. Can I have a volunteer to pray us out? Mike McGarrahan, how about you?
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay. Heavenly Father, Lord God, we just thank you for the opportunity we have to serve you, to serve our boys and our troop, Lord. And I just pray that your hands would be just all over each one of these leaders and their troops and all of the troops, Lord. As we see it's growing, Lord, it's by your hand, it's by your perfect will, and we just want to see it continue, Lord. So we just ask that you would bless these boys, bless these families, help them see the urgency and the need for this, Lord, and bring them, Lord, bring them to each of these meetings, bring them to the outings, the opportunities, so we can do what we can do through your power and strength to bring godly character into their lives and help them change their lives and to serve you in any way that you see fit. So we just thank you for this time. Thank you for Josh for putting this all together and everybody joining. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.